Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yep. Live mic.
I didn't see any
Live
corrections to the minutes.
Everybody gets quiet quickly.
Somebody took your vote.
Warren back on the job?
For approval.
What's that?
Warren back on the job?
He is, but he's still, I mean, he needs a knee now. And Bill's down with the flu, so.
Oh,
I need some younger, highly skilled carpenters, but they don't exist.
I think good luck with that.
Yeah, they don't exist. Not at those boys, you know,
Don't even
capability.
say it, just sit up there and be quiet.
You won't find that.
No.
Anything under 30.
No.
Oh, I'd take a
Nobody.
45.
Somebody knows
I'll
which
tell
end
you.
of the hammer to
I'll
grab.
tell you, Emily. There are no secrets in this survey. I'll tell you.
Call the meeting to order. We have a quorum. Join me in the pledge of allegiance and a prayer if you choose to. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Almighty God, as we are now in the Lenten season, the time when you saved our souls, and we deeply appreciate your sacrifice and ask that you guide us and direct us, that we act as you would have us act. In Christ's name, amen. Please sign in out front if you haven't already done so. And the first item on the agenda is approval of minutes from February 29th.
Move to approve the minutes as submitted.
Second.
Move to second point, then. Those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed, motion carries. Gary? It's up to you.
Morning, sir. We have 4 sealed quotes for the Barnett Phase 1 ARP-funded project. First quote is from OTS, $39,200. Second quote from Beechwood Construction, $25,200. Third quote from Moraine, $19,800. Final quote is from Landworks, $62,277.
So you'll give us your opinion.
Yes.
Bills to be paid, none cited, auditor's report, none cited. So I guess we are up to minor plat, MIP 1190, Sampson Engineering, or excuse me, Gibson Land Surveying, I'm sorry. If you'd give us your name and address, please.
It's Mike Gibson with MJ Gibson Land Surveying out of Greenfield, Indiana. This is a project, and first of all, I'd like to thank you for your patience in this project. I know we've been on the agenda for 2 or 3 months, and we've finally gotten a plan that works with the surveyor's office, and we feel it's a better plan than what we originally submitted. It's a 3-lot minor subdivision with an existing house on 20 acres. There's a 2-acre pond there that the cursor's on.
Let me kind of show them where it's at. This is Danville, and you're coming up at State Road 39, 236 intersection, and we'll go kind of northwest, I don't know, about a mile, and this project is right here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Go ahead.
the 3 lots consist of the existing house that you'll see there towards the north line, and then 2 lots will be along the south part of this parcel, 1 6-acre lot, and then a 3-acre lot that's out towards the front. We had originally showed some houses in the front of the lake, and with some concerns with the overflow and possible deterioration of the pond. There's no signs of that, but there was some thought process, let's get those houses out of the way in case it happens. There's a 12-inch outlet of the pond that goes to State Road 236 into a 6-foot culvert. So we're asking for your approval. The 4-inch perimeter drains for the septic will go into the pond itself and outlet through that 12-inch tile that we've created a easement for maintenance on that as well.
This Deer Run is a regulated drain. It was approved back in the 80s. I know that because my dad did it, so I know where it's at. It is a regulated drain, so that's why you see that it is being assessed to the Deer Run regulated drain. And I would recommend approval subject to my letter and all the conditions of the Hendricks County Stormwater Ordinance and technical standards, and subject to approval by the Hendricks County Plan Commission.
You've heard the surveyor's recommendation for preliminary and final approval. Chair will entertain a motion.
Move to approve MIP 1190.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there further discussion? Those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And none opposed, motion carries. Next is major plat, SOP 25, Banning Engineering.
This project, if you know where the beacon is in Brownsburg, this area here, this is this area right here. The trail runs through northwest, southeast, and 300 north. And it is all yours.
All right, there's a home drive, there's one, just that first sheet on there.
Yeah, it is, there's his barn. And that was his nursery right there. Right old lane.
Okay.
Okay.
Stall for me.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I'm Chad Ziegler with Banning Engineering. I'm here on behalf of Davis Homes. They're seeking approval to discharge stormwater from their development, the Centennial development, into the storm system, which is in wind farms to the west and is regulated by the county.
It's the Lingerman drain, by the way. It runs through Forest Commons eventually. You guys will remember that.
Yeah, that's good right there. And just show an exhibit here of the site. In the existing condition, most of the site currently drains to the wind farm storm system. And so we're going to, in the developed condition, we provided a design and calculation showing that we're going to reduce the discharge from the development to meet the Hendricks County Stormwater Management Ordinance. So,
Yeah, they've got a couple of ponds here. It outlets to the west,
Yep.
goes through this subdivision. The Lingerman used to run right through here, the tile system. It now goes through the ponds of wind farms. This all is draining to that. It's in the town of Brownsburg, but that's why they are here before you today.
I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
So the question, Mr. Maloney and I, it's so flat in there, so you're not going to have water backing up on somebody else then, right?
No, that's been designed specifically to avoid that, so yeah.
The great question, by the way.
That's always a challenge, and we're always, that's
Yeah.
what we're
You see the recommendations for preliminary and final approval. Chair will entertain a motion or comments from board members.
I'll move for preliminary and final approval of SO 325.
Second.
Then moved and second. Is there further discussion? Those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? None opposed, motion carried. Minor plat, house surveying, Emmanuel Baptist Church.
This project is over by North Salem. It's actually west of North Salem. And they're just creating a lot line, basically. They've got a church and a home, and they're wanting to do a little bit of work, but it forced them to do what we call minor plat. And that's why they are here today.
This is out by Ron Taylor, right?
Yes.
Identify yourself, please.
Hi, I'm Bill Hobble. I'm a trustee for the church.
Okay. And could you give the address, please?
The church's address is 8350 State Road 236, North Salem.
Floor is yours.
Yes, we have a 5-acre piece of ground with the church and a parsonage. Our goal is to split it into 2 parcels. So we have the parsonage can stand alone on 1.6 acres. And then the remaining of the parcel would be the church's property. That way the church could then sell the parsonage as needed.
Okay, there you go. This is just creating a lot line.
Right.
I mean, there's no added drainage, no hard surface. This is pretty simple, honestly.
Pretty simple, yes. Well, you see the recommendations from the surveyor's office for preliminary and final approval. The chair will entertain a motion.
Move for approval of MIP 1194, preliminary and final.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Further discussion? Those in favor of that motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are those opposed? Being none opposed, motion carries. Tiffany, are you ready? Or you want to go ahead and make your recommendation then?
I'm going to recommend Moraine Excavating with $19,800.
You've heard the recommendation of the surveyor's office. The chair will entertain a motion. So moved.
Second.
Those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, and none opposed, motion carries. Okay, we're next we are up to Banning Engineering, William Brown Regulated Drain, National Hot Rod Association.
You all know where Raceway Park is. This is the first step in a very big project.
Yes.
All they're asking for today is your permission to relocate the regulated drain, Brown, and some of you might know that the Quinn or the Brown regulated drain is a tile, and it runs, not necessarily like this, but it runs under the drag strip.
Tim shows that.
And they are wanting me to put this in.
Well, I gave them all printout. Figured it'd be
fine.
faster that way. I know we like speed.
They want to move the tile to the east side of Raceway Park and then outlet it, so they'll come down as it goes under the railroad track. They're actually going to come along the east side of Raceway Park here and then back west to the outlet. And because they want to put parking and all kinds of great things through here, a lot of additions, updates, but they can't do that with the 150-foot drain running right through the middle of it. And so this is the first step. They will be coming back with a DPR and lots of improvements, but they are here today for permission to move the regulated drain. So then they can go on with their design and working with IDEM and a lot of other things. Go
Yes,
ahead.
this is very important.
Could have said it better myself, but yeah, no improvements or anything right now.
Because, yeah, I'm very familiar with this because this gets you out of the mitigation side of this, doesn't it?
It
Or the vast majority of it?
It directs where our mitigation has to go. So for the potential projects for the development down there, filling in the open ditch needs to be relocated. So if you see basically right when it comes under the railroad, that's where we're doing about 900 foot of open ditch.
Yeah.
Okay, that's gonna help mitigate for what we're filling in, on the existing
So I
part.
didn't intend to interrupt you, so go ahead and start your.
No, basically everything that Dave said. I gave you guys an exhibit of what we're showing, relocation. The main thing here is getting that grouted full. We got a good mixture of grout that we use for under the railroad or for under the drag strip. But yeah, we got 30-inch pipe, 36-inch pipe, running after the open ditch. So that's pretty straightforward.
What's the line to the west of your It says phase one relocation part to be abandoned.
Yeah, so that's, so where the alignment of the existing regulated drain is now will be abandoned by the board, and we're requesting to relocate that alignment on that red alignment that you see on your exhibit, so.
You're just moving everything to the east.
Correct, yeah,
Move it,
and, go ahead.
move it a little further east, so those tanks would have to be going down.
You guys stay, we're at the edge of the property owned by the NHRA. Yeah,
Specifically
what that is.
sorry, those are just leader lines to show the label. That's just the label, and it shows, hey, from here to here, basically that's the part that's gonna be vacated.
I know that's a
Yeah.
tile to be vacated.
Yes,
but
sir.
This is the same phase one relocation, and this is to be abandoned. Was it originally supposed to go there, or?
No, what I mean by abandoned is that's the part of the existing drain that's gonna be abandoned by the board and relocated to here. If that makes,
This is just a tagline. So
Yeah.
this thing goes to here and there.
Okay.
So,
I think I understand your question. It's just the drain itself, as it stands as a regulated drain, that will be abandoned by the board, so you'll no longer have to maintain that part.
I was just wondering what this mark was.
Yes, yeah, sorry, if it's not a good visual.
they need for the board to approve this, so then they can go on with their design and go to IDEM and do all those things. But officially, they need your blessing to vacate what's existing and then accept moving it to the east officially.
This is a very, very, very important
So
part of
where's
this.
all the surface water going? Because from the road to the track, it sheet drains to the track, basically.
Right.
So where are you gonna catch that at?
So that's part of the second phase of this. Currently that open ditch is gonna still be there. Okay, so everything's gonna currently drain how it is, but when they go in and they do the parking lot design that's gonna actually be filling in that drain, that's where we'll present the plans and everything for how that drainage is being captured. Right now, the relocation is designed to handle everything that's coming from the north of the NHRA property, north of the railroad tracks, and then some of the on-site that's in the area where the relocation is. So we're picking up everything that's tying in to the existing drain just east of the drag strip, and including that, and then what the part that you're asking about is gonna be the next phase.
And Jack, we do have an arm that goes on the west side of 1000, right here. And all of that's gonna have to also be a part of that phase two, because this arm functions and it drains this west side of 1000. So that, we're gonna have to take that into account on phase two.
Yep.
We've talked about that. So today is just all good questions, I think valid. Do you want to allow NHRA to move the brown drain to the east side of the property so they can start their design and start working with IDEM?
I think
On the
that
mitigation.
down the east side makes a whole lot of sense. It's clean. I really like your route to reroute that. You know what kind of slope you'll have? You know what kind of slope you already have?
Yeah, we basically have the design pretty much wrapped up, and that we provided to Burke, and they've done a review, and looked over that as well. So, I mean, there's a good amount of grade there. So, like I said, we got 30-inch pipe, 36-inch pipe, so big difference from the 12-inch that's running there now.
So at the outlet is a 36, you're saying?
Yes, sir.
And it's not gonna be running under the drag strip, which has been my nightmare for 28 years.
And there's a section of the drainage code that specifically allows for relocation on a property owned by the petitioner.
Right.
And that's kind of what we're filing this one or requesting it under.
It's been a long time getting to this point. It's been hard to get to this point.
Yes.
So,
We're not through yet.
so at the end of, Dave, or at the end of this, when you get it finished, then we will abandon the current
Yes,
drain.
that's correct.
This does
That's
not
correct.
abandon the current drain now.
Not yet.
Correct.
Got it.
No, we'll make that a part of, when they come through with the final design, we'll make that all a part of that motion to make it legal.
Very good, thorough questions. You will see that the Surveyor's Office recommends approval. The chair will entertain a motion or further discussion.
Move for approval.
I'll second.
And moving and second, is there further discussion? Those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And none opposed?
Thanks, guys.
Praise the Lord.
Thank you.
Mr. Stierwald.
I don't have an update.
We already have the sealed quotes. Are there anyone in the audience who has wishes they wish to bring before the drainage board?
I've got a couple other things to add.
Go ahead, Dave.
In your packet is the drainage board fee schedule, which the drainage board asked for. So you guys can take that and take a look at that. Also, I am about halfway through with putting together the index for the ordinance and technical standards. I don't want to make it, I want to make it so that anybody, not just drainage board or engineers, anybody can find what they need to
Good for
find
you.
easily.
Good.
And so I'm kind of tweaking that, going back and forth. And lastly, I'll have that to you at the next drainage board meeting. I think at the workshop, I said it'd take me about a month.
Okay.
And lastly, we did have a joint drainage board meeting with Morgan County, and that went well. And we're going to be meeting again fairly soon. And I've talked with Mr. Stierwald, and he is willing to be the attorney for the joint board this year, because we're going to be meeting more than once, and we're going to have a reassessment hearing for the what is our Stout-Richardson regulated drain that goes into Morgan County as well. And so we needed an attorney present at those meetings, and Mr. Stierwald has agreed to do that. So that's the updates I have for you.
And Michael Hessian is the vice president of the Joint Drainage Board. Kenny Hale's the president. So
Yes.
Greg, if you have to communicate with one of the officers. And I told Michael on the way home, we did more at that joint meeting than we have done in the last 10 years.
I know. There's going to be a lot of things coming
Yeah.
before that joint meeting.
And it's really, really important.
Is the Richardson the one comes through that 40 acres that they've tried to develop right on the north side of town?
North side of
Oh, Mooresville?
Monroe? It's not a regulated drain. The, what are the brothers' names?
Oh, yeah. They're both-
Ross, the Ross brothers.
They're both dead now, I think, aren't they?
Yes, except for Dick. I think Dick's still alive. But you will recall Mooresville had some flooding issues. We did talk about that at the meeting, and hopefully we can work with a developer that comes in there to detain some of that water to help the town of Mooresville as that water goes under the county line road. I think they bought one house in Mooresville
And they need to buy more.
that floods. So that is on the radar, Jack, for that joint board meeting, or joint board. Yep. And I'm gonna blame Michael now that he's an officer on all that.
Buck stops there.
Congratulations.
Anything else? Anyone, last call, anybody in the audience? If anyone on the board have anything to bring before the drainage board?
When do you want us to give you input back on these fees?
Actually,
Since we just did it a year ago.
honestly, this is something that President Gentry brought up to me in a private discussion about concerns with the fee schedule.
Yeah.
So I'm going to look to Bob what's your timeframe,
Just,
Bob?
just,
Read it over.
just look it over and ruminate on it and see what you think. Because some of them I think are appropriate, some I think are a little excessive, but that's just me.
I don't know what your thoughts are on
Timing.
We could have
amending
another
this.
workshop later in the year. Would that be a realistic timeline? Maybe a fall workshop and we
That
can,
would, yeah, that'd be fine. That'd be fine.
Good with it? I think that workshop went well. I think
Yeah, it did.
that was good.
more, we could have more than one a year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jack, you wanted to bring up? No. Okay. Well, if there's nothing further, Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second, those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
There you go. Meeting is adjourned. Mr. President.
Emily?
Oh,
Emily?
Seems like.
Nice.
you all for attending. We'll have the Pledge of Allegiance and then prayer if you plan or if you would like to participate in that. Thank you. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Father, we do thank you that we are one nation under your guidance and direction. Help us to always remember that you are in control. Give us your wisdom in our meeting today. Guide our thinking. Give us wisdom to make decisions that benefit the people in Hendricks County. Thank you for each person here. Pray a blessing on our day in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
I should have welcomed all of those looking in on us and appreciate your attendance that way as well. If you want or need to contact us, please feel free to do that. We'll try to be as responsive as we can, as quick as we can. Approval of the minutes of our February 25th meeting.
Move approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Approval of claims. We received those and
Move for approval.
Second.
been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. New business. Mr. Ritter.
Yes, sir. First item I have is to award the signal contract at State Road 267 and East Hendricks County Road. You took bid on that at your last meeting. We only had one bidder. They were slightly over the engineer's estimate, but it's still a good bid, and we would recommend awarding that in the amount of $437,948 to Morphe Construction as the lowest responsive and responsible bidder.
Move approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? John, have we worked with them before?
We have on a couple projects, yeah. We were a little nervous going into this, and we didn't have many bidders because they said there was problems with some of the materials, like the strain poles for the signals. But Morphe thinks they can get started next week,
Okay.
and they have the poles. So we plan to, that's the tentative plan, but we're supposed to meet with them later this week.
Okay.
I don't remember if I sent them a contract or not. Okay, so there's two, I have a sign here flag on the contract, and then you also need to sign the very last page. I neglected to put a flag on it.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Swally, we've been looking forward to this.
Morning, gentlemen.
Well, you too, but especially the project.
So we're here to present the project recommendations for the county highway maintenance facility.
Yes.
Dan Zimmer.
Good morning.
Good
So-
morning, Dan.
The purpose of today's appearance in front of you is twofold. Garmong has reviewed all of the bids. We found some duplications of scope. We were able to pull some money out of some of the bids. We're still reviewing some of those. There will be probably some deduct change orders come to you once we get started because we're still reviewing a few things. But we've been through the bids, and we're recommending and requesting that you approve the 5 bids listed. You did get this document, I'm assuming.
We did.
Is there anybody that doesn't have one? I've got extras.
Anybody need one? Milo, you got it? Okay.
So anyway, we'd like to have bid packages 1 through 5 approved. I would also like to discuss the alternates that we've negotiated in those packages and why they were included. The radiant floor heating was John and Kurt's #1 request. We were able to get that in there. We're suggesting that we finish out the shell space, even though I know the commissioners have not determined for sure whether you want the engineering department here or there. Given the outcomes of the space study plan that we've been through, you're going to need somewhere to start vacating this building at some point to locate somebody out to give us a place to work. So whether engineering goes out there or not, and the fact that it's probably half as much to build it out now as it would be to come back later, we're recommending that we build that out. We did include a 3-year mechanical maintenance agreement, and we did,
What does that mean?
all the mechanical equipment will be maintained for 3 years by the installing contractor.
Okay.
And that money's in there to take care of that.
We've had challenges with that in the past, so this really helps the transition.
Okay, good.
That was in the bid documents. And then we did upgrade to a 4-inch insulated panel, which was one of the alternates within the bid. So the first thing I'm asking you to do is give Garmon the authorization to write contracts that we'll bring back to you at your next meeting to sign for the 5 bidders listed. So that's the first thing I would like to have done. If you have any questions?
And that number, if I'm looking at this correctly,
Well, but then we can jump to the budget if you'd like first.
I mean,
The total amount.
pardon?
You're talking about the total amount of the bids you're.
Yes, of those 5.
I didn't really
Those
add those up, but 10, 12,
Looks like
13.
16,774,174.
Yes, sir.
And then when you add in contingency.
Well, that
but-
16,774 includes the general conditions,
Yeah,
so it's really less money than that.
yeah, okay.
So let's just go ahead and discuss the budget for a minute, and then you'll be comfortable with everything.
Okay,
You approved a budget not to exceed of $19,050,000. We got all the alternates in it. You can see that we've adjusted the contingency up a little bit to 4.5%. That's because we don't know yet where we are with the septic system versus the sewer, some other things. We were at 3%, so we added another 1.5% in contingency just to cover that. We added into this security equipment, owner equipment, the fuel island, and the salt barn allowance. When you put all those things in together, you're at $19,027,000. And 1902. I'd like to make a couple other comments. The only thing we really did not put in here that we thought was expedient for the county is that the county buy its own builder's risk insurance, which won't need to go into effect till sometime late in the fall because there won't be anything to really insure. But we provided that information to John Parmley. It's typically cheaper to put it in your package than us to carry it. So we've asked the builder's risk to be quoted and just be part of your general package. The only other thing I want to call out is we have left $350,000 in this for a sanitary system. Keep in mind that we do not know what the sanitary system consists of.
Not good.
We don't know what's going to be a sewer. We don't know whether it's going to be a mound system. That's the best guess between DLZ and us.
yeah.
I don't think it's gonna be a sewer anymore, is it?
Well, we're talking again
Yes.
with the town and with WCCD.
So
And with
so
the
any,
developer on the east side.
if there's anything we could come back to you that we don't think we have covered sufficiently because we don't know what it is, we have put $350,000 in there for that.
Where is that number?
If you look above the total up there into 33.000, Denny.
Yeah. Up there, okay,
000 right in here somewhere.
yeah.
Right there it
here,
is,
right here.
sanitary system.
Got it,
Yep.
okay, thank you.
So your threshold,
That could be that number or less.
or could be 25,000 more, we don't know.
Okay.
But that's the only variable we don't feel like we had enough information to sufficiently cover, but that's typical, usual, customary. We feel pretty good about it. Plus, we gave you a little extra money in contingency to work.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
Brad, on the sewer issue, Danville's trying to work something out with West Central's Conservancy again. And we've been talking for the last few weeks. There's a developer on the east side that's kind of driving that. And
Conversation I had a week ago was, it was, well, not going the direction we would like for it to go.
it's been back and forth in the last 2 weeks. So right now, we've got the septic design on hold, but we've made it clear to the sewer partners that we need to get a direction pretty soon, because we've got to move forward with our septic if this isn't going to happen. We haven't heard that this is not going to happen. Danville's still trying to pull something together with West Central.
The unfortunate fact is we would put a septic in and ultimately have sewer on or near the site within
Probably.
24 to 36 months. and
Yeah,
that's
the timing is
a real lousy
unfortunate.
use of money.
The timing is
We're
unfortunate.
trying to avoid that.
I don't think everybody wants to participate at the table.
It's had
One
its
of them.
hiccups, yes.
Guy.
So,
Question then, Mr. President.
Mhm.
So what Brad and John were just discussing, so I would agree that, you know, I want to put money into a mountain system, whatever, and then if it's 18 months later, we're going to hook on to.
No, we
sewer.
wouldn't, we just use the mountain system.
We just
Once
need
we
to-
spend the money on a septic, we just keep using it.
Okay,
We wouldn't want to double our
You don't wanna delay
costs.
construction because of the
No.
unknown. I mean, we're just dealt a bad hand because the players at the table aren't being cooperative.
okay.
That and timing, I guess, we'd call it.
Yeah, it's a cooperativeness.
Yeah, okay,
so the two things we're asking for is to approve this as the final budget
okay,
to go in the record and to approve the bidders.
yeah.
So my comment, obviously, if we're referring to the 19027 number, we've got 4 allowance numbers that are all very round numbers. Do we have anything that
We've-
can substantiate those,
We
or we're not?
we have vetted all of them substantially except the security cameras.
I hate round numbers.
Yeah, but we have, well, the salt barn is an exact quote that was just updated last week. The equipment allowance was a quote that Kurt got for all of his equipment, that we took his quote, so it's been vetted.
Shop equipment.
That's the shop equipment. The security clam allowance, we did not have all the quotes on the security cameras, but there's enough there to at least cover the site. Whether or not there's enough there for 5 extra cameras or something, somebody might want, we don't know.
The building will be pre-wired for all the cameras and everything, but we just didn't have any funding set for cameras itself. So we're trying to set, we had funding to be able to do some of them.
Right.
So that's why that's a round number, because it was just sort of what.
And then the fuel equipment, that came from a quote as well.
Okay.
So 3 of the 4 are solid quotes that we have.
And the security camera, I won't say is only 50,000, but it's 50,000. We have a substantial contingency
That's correct.
in here, so if we approve the number, that contingency is a part of it, and we should be okay.
We're asking you to give us the authorization to manage your business and
Yeah.
report to you every month. And we feel like we have enough money in this budget to do that, so.
Including, I would think, if the sewer situation gets worked out to where we can tie in even, there's enough money in this
Yes,
to
sir.
do that rather than putting in.
Our contribution would be what we got in the mound system towards the sewer system is what John's discussion has been.
And that's what we told them. We can put in the equivalent amount we've got set aside for septic,
And-
for septic.
And so, I guess a comment I would make is we need to let John, I guess, you and you folks work that through.
And that's what we're intending to do.
Okay.
Question, Mr. President.
Yeah,
Are we going to have gasoline and diesel? Or just diesel? Just diesel. The question down here, construction exclusions. The tariff markup on Canadian building materials, so we can't.
The salt barn's coming from Canada. And right now, the quote is pre-tariff. So if we get the salt barn ordered this week, which we will, right now, we don't have a tariff clause, but if we drag this out, they're telling us there could be tariffs imposed.
So we can't build a salt barn with American stuff?
So you buy the salt barn at a discount through the state building program. There's already a program that you're part of that discounts that salt barn, but it's actually sourced through Canada.
One component, I don't think the whole thing.
No, it's just the top.
Not for long.
Gosh, man, it's just concrete treated lumber.
No, it's a fabric, it's a fabric cover. It's a fabric covered salt barn. It's a membrane.
It's like the second one we have out there now,
Okay,
fabric cover.
suspenders and a belt.
okay, the chair would entertain a motion unless we have further discussion.
Comment. Can you please announce who you're awarding it to and the amounts for the
Sure,
record?
be glad to.
Okay,
Bids would be bid package 1 for site development would go to Millennium Contractors for $2,175,000. Bid package 2, general trades, Myers Construction Management, $8,504,125. Bid package 3 for fire suppression, Vulcan Fire Protection, $200,500. Bid package 4, plumbing and mechanical, quality plumbing and heating, $2,377,000. And bid package 5 for electrical to Houston Electric, $1,542,407.
And then the other amounts,
The other amount is to approve the general budget, the project budget at $19,027,217.
And that figure then, are the 5 that you read off, plus the 4 alternates.
Well, it's also plus your general conditions, which,
yeah.
and allowances, equipment, utilities. Those are not in the bids. So it's a combination of all these, Bob.
Okay.
So these top items are not, these were not bid items right here.
Okay,
It's from here down. is the
Okay.
bids.
thank you.
Chair would entertain a motion. Please.
Move for approval of $19,027,217 to the aforementioned contractors, including the allowances and the general requirements and equipment furnishings number that were.
With some reluctance, I'll second that.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. I have another question for a gentleman in the back in a nice pink. Yes, do you have any rough idea on what the builder's risk insurance might be?
Typically 1%.
Yeah, I mean, I would say 1%, but we're gonna take it to complete market and we'll get multiple quotes and share those with you, break down all the different variables and so forth and so on. Yeah, we exchanged a couple emails yesterday, I
I've
think it
given them
was.
plans and
Yeah.
budget numbers and everything, but also you won't have anything coming out of the ground to protect until September, October, so. Another matter I would like to discuss with you,
Okay, thanks.
I'm assuming you'd like to have a really nice formal groundbreaking. This is a big deal. And we would like to suggest the 4th week of April,
Okay.
if that would fit everybody's calendars. If you wouldn't mind looking, we could just pick a date right now. That would satisfy you all.
What if we did it,
We could do the 3rd week of April, the 4th week of April.
well, the 3rd week, we have a meeting on April 22nd. So the 3 of us certainly would be here for that.
Be glad to afternoon.
We could do it.
Like to do it 1 o'clock?
Would that be okay?
Yes, we'll work to plan that.
22nd?
22nd?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Great.
okay.
One final comment, DLZ made the trip down today from South Bend. I would like to acknowledge DLZ as the architect and engineer and how cooperative they've been. You know, sometimes when you try to take a project from 32 million to 19 million, it can get offensive to designers. They've been team players all through the process. Just like to compliment on that. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Somebody's clapping, I don't know.
It's Kurt.
It's Kurt.
And we asked for 37 gold shovels for the groundbreaking, so all the highway guys can help.
Gold plated.
Gold plated.
That's fine. We'll see. All right. Thank you very much, Dan, and Jack, thank you, and John, thank you. It's been a long time coming. Really appreciate it. Next one is Link. Yes. Stacy.
Hi.
Good morning.
Okay, first order of business is just some housekeeping, closing out the calendar year 2024 grants. There was a little bit left on the vehicle funds, 5339 grant. Obviously, we don't control how much they charge us for the vehicles, so
So a little bit left,
Just a
meaning
little bit.
3,500.
Yeah,
Yeah.
$3,344.
$33.44.
Yeah.
So what do we do with that? Have a party or something? No.
I wish.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, I can't buy a new van for that.
No, you can't. Okay. I
So,
mean, that goes back.
yeah,
I
that goes
assume.
back. I'm sure they'll incorporate it into this year.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So we don't keep that and put it into something.
No, I wish.
Mr. President, move for approval.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Thank you so
Okay, go
much.
ahead on the grant agreement.
Yep, this is just the calendar year 2025 contract. NDOT will actually be emailing it to you, Mr. Dawes, for electronic signature this afternoon. Yeah.
Okay,
But it's just, same thing,
okay,
just for this calendar year 2025.
all right,
And that's for the 5311 funds.
very good.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay. And Stacy, just,
Yes.
do we need that in the record? Is that the 285,962 amount?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
You
Have a great day.
Bridget. You are up.
Good morning.
Morning, Bridget.
Good morning. All right, so the first order of business is the Leadership Hendricks County Ember Leadership Academy. I know a few years ago that we had decided we couldn't use county funding to pay for Leadership Hendricks County programming. But since that time, I've been a part of their annual programming where I provide training and they come and take a tour on Judicial Criminal Justice Day. And so I've maintained contact. They currently have a program that is for managers, supervisors to help them with increasing their skills. I think it would be advantageous for me to be able to provide that for my staff, but I wanted to make sure that I was following the rules and doing as asked. I've got Jana here. She will talk to you about the program and let you know more about it.
First of all, thank you guys for supporting LHC for the last 33 years and what we've done in this community. And when I took this job, I knew that we could do more. And I think there's a big need for leadership training in all industries. We're finding people don't leave a job usually because of the job. It's the culture they're in, or they're not being trained, or they don't have the skills to, one, communicate well with others, to think strategically. Even as just an employee, I need to come in and I got to think, what's moving forward for my business? What's moving forward for me? Decision making, emotional intelligence. We would like to say we don't bring emotion to the table, but we do in everything we do. So we want to make sure they're aware of that, and are they using that when they come to the table? And then lastly, adaptability and resilience. And HRH is going to be a part of that day too. Having gone through COVID, that was a big thing. So we really want them to understand trials are going to rise. What are you going to do when it happens? We're blessed that Bridget works with us because this year we've already had 66 people go through and see work release. And out of that 66, 52 of them had never even heard of it. So now we're educating them. We're doing all that with our adult programming. What's next? Well, we want to be what's next. We want to go in and we want to help those businesses and go, hey, we're going to help you keep these employees, and we're going to make sure you pipeline them up the right way.
Bridget, how many of your staff are you would you think would go through this?
I would like to have 4. I've got 3 sergeants and 1 custody supervisor. So I would like for the 4 of them to be able to participate.
And are you, and I know that you have given us the exact number of days that you are going to retire.
Even I know that one.
And so are you thinking this might be some help in succession planning as well?
Absolutely. I have been doing succession planning for quite a while. I don't feel that I should be the smartest person in my building, so I really want my staff to be able to think like me in my absence, and that has worked out very well for us. Knock on wood, we have very few hiccups because, and most of my staff, I'd say about 75% have been with me 5 years or more. So we are pretty stable in that way. But I just want to increase their skill sets. When they became supervisors, they were good at doing the job itself, but then it's the other parts that they may not have necessarily had the skills for, and I just want to increase that for them.
So I'm certainly an advocate for educating employees, not just in your department, any department within the county. I think the county needs a policy that addresses this. I'm certainly supportive of your request, but I think that the commissioners need to take it a step further and have a policy that allows for this, not just for your department, but for other departments, so there's a level playing field, whether it's for leadership Hendricks County or other education opportunities for the employees, and the county absolutely has to invest in the education of their employees for the county's benefit and for the employees' benefit. So I'm certainly a huge advocate.
Yeah.
But we need a policy because this will open the floodgates.
You're asking for permission to use your money to,
Yes, because a few years ago, we were told that we couldn't use money for LHC. And so in my mind, it's still LHC, even though it's a different program. I didn't want to step on any toes or miss, do the wrong thing. So I just figured I'd ask for permission instead of forgiveness.
thank you, because the reason we got to that spot was because it declared it unfair. It was unlevel playing field for people who weren't in county government would have a scholarship to go in when the average person across here may want to do that and didn't have the scholarship.
Understood.
That's why we got to that point.
And Bridget called me probably a month ago and talked to me about this, so I asked her to put something together and bring it to us. And that's how it got here today, so.
I'll move, Mr. President, I'll move for approval.
Could we amend your motion to include approval, and then we need to direct Todd to develop a policy to bring back to us?
That'd be fine, just so it takes in consideration when.
Yeah.
Sorry, Todd.
Don't look at them, look at him. And us,
So it
and
makes
that's
it,
for our.
so it makes it fair
Yeah,
for
yeah.
every one of the 200,000 people in the county.
But life's not fair. I mean,
No,
as an employer, you're looking after your employers, not the
Right.
individual across the street.
Correct.
But we'll have that discussion another day, Bob.
Okay, maybe we approve this and then.
We do, but we need to address the
We
policy
need to
quickly.
address the policy.
That's
Yeah.
fine.
Okay. Okay, it's been moved to approve this
I'll
request.
second.
For 4 people, it's gonna be $2,400 if you wanna put that in the minutes. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, and then outside of that, if we didn't put that as a part of the motion, Todd will work together on developing some kind of policy. So. Good, Bridget.
Thank
And
you.
Dana, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Bridget, don't go away.
I'm not.
So,
All right.
you go right ahead because this is
Sure.
a whole lot more than $2,400.
Well, it's time for our calendar year 2026 IDLC Community Corrections Grant. It's due on April 11th. However, my calendar and your calendar did not, work well together, so I had to get it done very quickly so I could get here and get my approvals as needed. The only thing that's changing is I'm asking for an additional maybe $150,000 to cover, one, we have a peer recovery coach who is on a grant position through the health department currently, and it's a 1-year grant. So I'm attempting to get it picked up by the community corrections grant so that we'll have guaranteed payment for her. And then also, looking at just the costs, we haven't had an increase in our budget in many, many years, and we're constantly behind the 8 ball. Just because of cost of things today. And so trying to see if there's any additional money. DLC will never tell us if they have money up front, so I just always ask. That way if there is some, maybe I can get some when they pass it out. So asking for additional money for uniforms, for increase our indigent meals because we're spending probably between $5,000 and $6,000 a month feeding people who do not have support and do not have a job when they initially come to the work release. And then an additional $60,000 for operational supplies. The other thing is $5,000 for training and education because I have more staff that need more training and we always have to pay registrations if there's flights, if there's hotels. So just trying to increase that so that we don't have to lose out on the opportunity to train because we don't have the budget.
I'd like also, when you have in here to use some contractual services for, I'll call it counseling and
Yes,
other
sir.
things. And what I read, you're using local people as well.
We are.
And I think that's good.
We are, and what we try to do, because transportation is still the biggest barrier for us, is we try to build contracts and relationships with people that can bring the training and the education to the facility. And so we are able to do that. And so they are able to come and use the facility to do that. That removes the transportation barrier. And then also we're able to use DLC grant funding to pay for it. So it's a win-win for us.
Very good.
So is this something then we need to go to the council and ask for more money for her support?
No, I think the motion would be to approve her to submit this grant.
To submit the grant.
And, yeah, and then hopefully she'll get this money.
It'll probably be like September, October before they'll tell us whether we
Yeah.
receive it or not.
Okay. So it's really not, quote, money she has now.
Oh, okay.
She's requesting this money from ELC
Yeah.
to bring it. So,
With that, I'll move for approval.
okay.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further questions or discussion?
One point.
Yeah.
I had occasion to work with Bridget over the last week on a pretty serious issue. She is an outstanding person in what she
Thank you.
does. She
She's a
knows
rock
what
star.
She is good.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, Bridget, thank you, and I would agree with the comments about you. It's gonna be difficult to replace you when you retire in those. I
2032.
think it's 10 years from now.
31. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you. You bet. Next item is Laura.
Yeah, well, that's a tough act to follow.
You're a rock
You
star
will
too,
do
Laura.
fine.
Thanks.
It's
This is-
structured that way intentionally.
Oh, yeah, I love statistics and graphs and numbers and all
All
that.
right.
so.
Good.
Here. So first, I want to introduce Karen Bowles. She's my chief deputy recorder. And this is Dustin Wicker, spelled incorrectly, Brad, right? He is with CSI, which is our land recording system. So I just have him here to help me with things I may not be able to answer. This doesn't involve any money at all. So on that first page, you can see where I highlighted, we have a property fraud alert system in place that's free to property owners. And in 2024, we piggybacked on the treasurer's tax billing and put an insert in there. And we had a huge amount of people sign up for it. So they get alerts if anything is. So with that said, it works great. However, we need to take it one step further, have an extra layer. We get a lot of inquiries and calls about it. What we don't want people to do is follow the late night TV commercials with the home alert that cost a lot of money. This is a system that CSI has kind of vetted for us. It is a subscription, but the property owner, we're just here to say that we have vetted it, and if you're going to take an extra step, this is the one we want you to take. It's a drastic reduction in the subscription cost. Also-
It is paid for, but it's paid for by the
property.
by the user.
By the
correct?
property
Yeah.
owner.
Right.
Mhm.
We're like a go-between.
We just have to allow them,
Yeah.
authorize it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we want to be able to recommend something that's been fully vetted. And if you look on that second page, this is not like something that's running rampant in Hendricks County by any means. Actually, we're at a very low risk. And I believe if you sign up, they will do a free analysis and let you know, here's your risk. And if you fall in that low risk, I don't even believe they would recommend you would
go further, just stick with what we offer now free. But if you're in that high risk, and we've had several inquiries of people that want to know what we recommend, so I feel like we owe it to property owners.
Mr. President, what constitutes a high risk?
Yeah, sure.
So high risk would be if you have farmland or vacant land. Because that's not being monitored all the time, right? You guys aren't watching it.
If you own your home with no mortgage.
Yep, you own your home with no mortgage. If you've owned your home a long time, like me, I've owned my home 11 years, they consider me elderly in that sense.
Yeah.
Because on a 30-year mortgage, I'm about halfway there.
Snowbirds
So they're looking at
that maybe
yeah.
either house is vacant.
Yep.
half
If you
the
own
year.
rental properties, those can be considered high land or high risk. Yeah, so they take an analysis of who you are plus your property, and they look at the big picture, and they come back and they score you as low, medium, high, or high. And then from there, it's up to the property owner to decide if they want the protection or they want to stick with the free notification service that is reactive, where this one is proactive. It actually locks down, think of it as like a credit lock that only affects your property. So it just locks down your property and gives you control of if you're refinancing or you're selling your home. You would get an alert when the closing company comes in and is trying to release that voluntary lien so that it can go through. But it comes down to the property owner gets to make that decision, which is the key there.
Right.
You know, that way you don't have somebody.
Facial recognition.
Yep, facial recognition, biometrics. When I signed up, I had to answer like 60 different questions about my property to make sure that they're vetting that I am who I say I am.
It's something that's been asked for and we want to provide, but we wanted to be sure we went with the safe.
We've not done this in the past.
Well, we do have the Docs Pop property
Okay.
fraud alert
Okay.
system, which is free in
Yeah.
place right now.
Okay,
This is a step above.
okay.
There's no monetary benefit to the recorder's office or Hendricks County. There's no cost to us. Really, we're kind of the middleman, I guess.
And you will get a little bit of an increase in your fees, which also will feed the general fund. So as people take part in this subscription, they record a voluntary lien or a UCC. And so the recorder will collect that recording fee, which feeds into several funds. Feeds into your surveyor fund, feeds into your county general. There's several different line items that feeds into.
Very worthwhile.
Okay. And this is a patented service. It's the first of its kind. There is nobody out there doing it. This is the only one. And we've worked with this company to get this at a discounted rate if the county does an agreement. So if you guys didn't have an agreement, anybody in the county could sign up for it right now. It would be about $360.
A year.
That's for the first year, it's $360. That gets you your startup, that gets you covered, gets you access to the app. If you guys sign this agreement, it gets it for your property owners at $149 for the first year. So it's a significant savings. Yep, and then it's $99 a year thereafter if the person wants to continue.
And they were able to roll into the agreement. Oh, the agreement, that's why we're here.
Yeah.
Per parcel though, correct? Is that?
It is per parcel. Now, that being said, if you have, let's say you've got 50 parcels on farmland, if it's all the same vesting, meaning it's in the same name, you don't have this one in Dusty Wicker and Alan Wicker, and this one in just Dusty Wicker. If it's all the same vesting, they can do it under one subscription fee. So you pay the $149 for your first parcel, and then you just pay the recording fees for your additional parcels.
But if it's multiple holding companies, it's.
Yeah, and they're always willing to work a deal. I just talked with them last week. A county, Wells County had signed up for it, and they had a property owner that owned property in Wells County and in Kosciuszko County. They ended up working a deal with them because they're both subscribed, or the county has signed the agreement for Equity Protect.
Has any lawyer looked at this? as far as Dan's?
Greg has, and we did make several changes. They were able to roll this agreement into our yearly CSI agreement. So we can kind of do that all at once. And then I believe Dusty just answered the other question about, anyone can get equity protect right now. It's just if we are, yeah.
They made some changes for us. We're ready to go.
Good. Very good.
Question, Mr. President. So, Greg, have you ever had to represent someone, private practice, who had been defrauded that way?
No. Right, it's a nightmare.
We've had one legit case right after I became recorder, and it was legit, but it turned out to be a inner workings of an evil family member type thing. So it wasn't what you look on, what you see on TV with the guy in the mask on a computer and all that. So, but for as large of a county as we are, and we're at low risk.
And it is starting to pick up a little bit in Indiana. Michigan is rampant with property fraud. Detroit, the Register of Deeds there in Wayne County, they actually have 8 people on staff for fraud.
Oh, wow.
Because it is so rampant. We just had an instance a couple of weeks ago in Benton County where they made it to the closing table and were about to wire $1.85 million, and they found out that it was fraudulent.
Wow.
We just had a Johnson County resident
We can
who
talk about
stole
property
5
fraud.
properties in Marion County. So this is all happening. It's just Indiana is just now starting to see it.
Any further discussion? Then move for approval. Seconded by Brad. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Laura, thank you.
Thank you so much. I'll come back and report next year, and give you some more statistics.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Thank you all.
And you are up.
Yes. This company goes by the name TrueRoll. They offer 2 services. One is an audit of homesteads. They're looking for fraud, looking for people doubling up in other states. They go through DMV, BMV databases, voting registrations, everything. So they gather all that information. They provide the online portal for us to access and determine how we're going to do that. We have the option of going back and collecting back taxes for 3 years, but it is auditor's discretion. So they provide that upfront contingency service. That should take around 18 months. And then our girls in our office will send out notices, collection letters, everything. They offer an extenuation of that where it's an annual service that monitors homesteads. I am not recommending that. Greg did look over the contract to make sure that it didn't automatically renew to that form of service. Right now, I really just want the audit done. We haven't done one in years. And other counties that are our size or bigger are seeing a lot of fraud. So I just want to stay on top of things.
It takes mutual agreement to extend it. So we had the language changed from an evergreen clause to this.
Very good. Great. So we're looking at $7,500 to, I'll call it, get started.
Upfront, $7,500, and then they'll collect a
30% of it.
percentage of whatever we bring in, which is fine. We really just want to make sure people are where they're supposed to be.
But did I understand you correctly saying it was still the auditor's discretion to pursue?
Yes.
Which I would think they're gonna.
I mean,
be in the
either way, we
driver's
would
seat
take
on that.
action on leaving the homestead on the property, but it is up to the auditor's discretion whether we collect up to 3 years. We could collect 1 to 3 years, or we could decide not to collect and enforce them just by a notice. And that just is because some people are just down on their luck, and auditors really just like that control. But we do intend to smaller counties than us have collected a substantial amount, so I'm pretty positive about it.
Positive then in that there are people with multiple homestead credits.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm absolutely with you, that needs to be stopped. I'll move for approval.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to enter into this agreement with True Roll.
Hate to give the 30% away, but you're not gonna find
I know.
it out.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay. Ann, thank you.
Thank you.
Chad Boroff. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, I'm not Chad, I'm Brian Day, I'm the Assistant Chief. We have,
I think you were Chad, but yeah. All
yeah,
right,
well,
Brian,
he's
thank you.
much more handsome than I am, probably a better speaker too. I have in front of you electronic monitoring service agreement from BI, we've used them for years. I believe, according to Dwight Stevenson, who is our home detention director, the last one that we had updated was 2019. This one's kind of a shorter one, easier out for us. We are currently shopping, looking at everybody in the business, basically trying to see what fits us best. But the problem we had with BI, we couldn't see a lot of the things that they were providing because it wasn't in our current contract. So we're updating our current contract so we can get some of those software upgrades, cheaper prices than what we're currently paying. Probably some of the routine maintenance that we probably should have been doing in years past to keep this contract up to date, so we had access to kind of all the bells and whistles and all the things that'll make our productivity a little bit better. So I certainly can try to answer any questions you have. I know it's going back and forth with the attorney, a couple of different things, but I think we're at a good place with this. Fairly quick out, I think it's like 60 days or 30 days, something like that. So, yeah.
They made some changes we requested, including the fact we didn't have to mediate in Colorado. And we do have 30-day termination.
Very good.
So I think we're ready to go.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, have a great rest of your day.
You too. Mr. Ayers, you
Yes, sir.
are up again.
The next item I have for you is regarding the County Road 1000 North Widening Project. If you recall, this is funded through NDOT through relinquishment funds we received for the portion of 267 through the town of Plainfield. Most of that went to the town of Plainfield, but we received some for the bridges that we will be taking over in the town, within the town limits. Most of them are fairly new and aren't gonna need work for a while. We opted to use those funds to widen 1000 North between 267 and the Ronald Reagan Parkway intersection, because that's gonna be needed when that gets completed. There's a second phase of the project that actually will go all the way to county line, but that's off in the future. We had started design on this quite some time ago, and then with some traffic studies and some planning things, and then when this funding opportunity came available, the commissioners made the decision to allocate that money towards this. So that's a long way of saying it's kind of a different funding mechanism than we normally see on federal aid projects, and so NDOT really didn't know how to handle it, so we weren't having to do quarterly reports on this like we are on most of them. The typical people we deal with at NDOT, Crawfordsville, on our local projects, were saying, we don't have anything to do with this. But when we got ready to start buying right-of-way, we realized that on the state system to purchase right-of-way, it kind of needed to go one way or the other, or we couldn't run things through them for review. And so, without fully understanding the mechanisms that play at NDOT, they decided to run it through kind of like a normal federal aid project. So as part of that, you have to sign what we call a local agent, LPA NDOT agreement, basically saying, we're getting these funds for this project, we're gonna use them responsibly and appropriately. So the total amount of funding is $6,030,000. There's two projects here really. One is for the road widening, and then one is for the bridge. It's located just east of 267. It's Bridge 29. We're having to replace that as part of this project. But the total amount of funds available is $6,030,000, and It's scheduled for a letting in July of '26 right now. And we're in the middle of buying right away, as I think most of you know, because you probably got phone calls. We'll
Yes.
talk about that later. But anyway, this is just a normal project coordination contract, they call it, with a normal federal aid project, you would have probably signed this about 3 years ago. But it's just now getting into they just now moved it into that part of the system. So I do quarterly reports on it, they monitor it, which I think is probably the best thing to do from their end, so it's being tracked and monitored, not kind of falling in the middle. So Denny got this is a DocuSign agreement, and Denny got this electronically last week, but like with most of these, I think that process is, I know that process is backwards. They send you documents to approve before the board is acting on them, and it just gripes me every time. So I asked Denny to hold off on actually him signing it until you as the board approve the document, the agreement.
Yeah, go ahead.
The bridge on 1,000 there, just about half a mile, it has to be replaced.
Yeah, width-wise and grade-wise. The grade's staying about the same, but mainly for width, because the bulk of what we're doing on 1,000, we're not adding travel lanes, except at intersections where we're adding turn lanes. We're mainly widening the lanes and widening the shoulders and making it a safer cross-section. So yeah, that bridge has to be replaced.
That will be a huge traffic issue, won't it?
Yeah, the whole project's gonna be a huge traffic issue.
That's not my district.
Yes.
Give him Denny's phone number.
It's already happening.
Yeah, it is.
And it hasn't happened.
Yes.
All right.
Move for approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
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 So now you can, I'm
I
sorry,
can,
Sign it.
get on and do that.
I can get on and sign it.
Good luck.
Okay,
Have fun.
thanks.
One more question.
Yeah,
John,
sure.
you said we might address the dialogue we have with the landowners who've been
Yeah,
calling
I've got
us.
that on down.
Okay, that's fine, okay.
Second agenda item, third agenda item, I guess, you had agreed to lease the southern half of the highway garage site for farming. This is going to James Searcy at the rate that we're charging on the rest of our property, 210 acres per year. Did I send a copy of this lease?
Yeah, we have it, yeah.
So he signed it, and once you sign it, you can get started. I'm gonna have the dividing line marked between that half and the half we gotta use for construction, so.
Move for approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
That needs your signature.
Just mine?
No, all three.
All of them, okay. All right. Very good. I wonder if that's probably, what's in here. Okay, thank you. Boy, you're good. All right. Go ahead, community crossing.
Last item is community crossings grant. We had applied for this funding source like we do every year to use for a resurfacing program, and we did get approved. We got approved for the full amount. They upped the limit this year, or maybe it was last year, I don't remember, to a total of $1.5 million available per agency. So Kurt put together a $3 million plus a little bit paving program to fund with this, and we got approved. So we need to go ahead and get this out for bids. And so this is the notice to bidders, April 8th.
Move for approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Thank
This
you.
is good news. It'll add $1.5 million to our paving program. So
Yeah, that's good.
that's all I have on the agenda
Thank you. For now.
for now.
Yeah, you'll come back up in a minute. Comments from the floor. Anybody here that would like to address the commissioners? State your name and address.
Jay Thompson, 7722 Quail Creek Trace in Pittsboro. Just wanted to make one comment about the audio from listening to me. The streaming is very nice, but it's still pretty low. Some people have much lower audio quality than others, so I know if you've looked into desk mics versus these, because these things more are omnidirectional versus unidirectional mics. I just was in Liston Town Council last night, and they've started streaming. And they've got 4 mics on the desk, and they're professional grade 500 megahertz wireless mics. They're not Bluetooth or anything like that. So just something to keep in mind. And also I notice a lot of people they want to stand over here. Maybe it's because Mila's smile's so attractive and everybody hangs over by her. But when people stand up here, it's a lot better. I've noticed that since you put this mic in, it does help. So,
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Okay,
Your
yeah.
comments.
Because I don't know how often, you guys are here, so you probably don't watch the recordings, but you
We
know.
do not, or at least I do.
No, I
not.
don't.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I was contacted by one of the companies I use their equipment to do antenna testing and coax testing. They want to send a professional photographer out and take some pictures of me demonstrating how their equipment's worked. And I've been working with Jack and Kurt at the radio trailer over by the highway garage, and I didn't know if you guys minded if I went over there one day and have the photographers do some more testing. I've already checked a couple of antennas, but after Sprint pulled out, they've got some antennas over there, so I thought I'd go test those. I don't know if you heard about the debacle with the power being shut off over there and that type. So, but that's how I became aware that there's more antennas over there. So I just wanted to make sure you wouldn't have a problem if they did some kind of commercial thing. Maybe give you a little promotion. You know, I did when I was with APCO on the SME committee where we redid the standards of trainings for two-way radio and CAD technicians. I listed Hendricks County Communications Advisory Board, so you guys got a little publicity out of the deal.
So Jay, you said listen, the megahertz they have, what are those?
Yeah, they're using, these are probably wired in there. I mean, Doug's probably more familiar how this, but,
Those aren't even actually.
Those on your what?
you know, oh, it's just all the ceiling right now? Okay,
Oh,
so,
okay.
because I noticed somebody the other day, one of the meetings had a bunch of papers and they did this number, and that just obliterates the audio from everything for a few seconds. So, yeah, that's all you hear is that, so. And these kind of difficult, so.
Okay.
But yeah, you might want to, maybe if you look on, I think they're streaming on YouTube now. They're in the testing phase. The guy was there last night. I was talking to him. I used to do TV production back in the 80s and 90s, so I'm a lot of familiar with mics and that type of thing. So.
Thanks, Jay.
All right.
Yeah. Anybody else? Thank you. Elected officials. I will start with our sheriff. I think he wants to speak to it.
Morning.
Good morning.
I just wanted to bring before you, I have a letter here I'm going to ask you to sign. Corporal Kyle Schaefer is preparing to retire. He has served over 20 years with our office, and he has had a couple canines through his career as a canine handler. He currently has canine Deeks, and Deeks is approaching 8 years old. And with the impending retirement, we were trying to determine whether it would be beneficial for us to try to have a brand new handler take Deeks, or if we would retire Deeks. I think it's best under the circumstances, especially with Deeks' demeanor and the amount of time Deeks has, would be a remainder for us, that it would be best to go ahead and retire Deeks and release him from the sheriff's office to the custody of Corporal Schaefer and the Schaefer family. I'd like to do that as of April 11th. That seems to be the date that Corporal Schaefer is looking to retire. Though that date is not set in stone for him, I'd like to set that date in stone for Deeks. And so April 11th would be his retirement date. Then we would release Deeks to the Schaefer family.
Move to follow the sheriff's recommendation.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you for that, and we thank Corporal Schaefer as well.
Yes.
For his service, and Deeks, is that the dog's name? Yeah. Deeks.
Yes, it's Deeks.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Very nice.
Yeah, we should have minimal interruption, the same as any time we would retire a canine. There'll be a period of time that will take us to acquire a new canine and be able to get them trained. But as I expressed previously, we have great trainers. Corporal Schaefer is one of them, but Deputy Hibschman will step up and train, and we'll get back on our feet pretty quickly.
So Sheriff, do you have to get a new canine then?
We will.
And you've already begun to work on that.
Yes, yes, yeah, it is in the works, that's for sure.
So you need a copy of that, or
You just
no?
email me a
All right,
copy.
very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other elected officials that would like to make any comments? Okay, thank you. Staff reports. Mr. Ayers.
Okay, moving right along. Okay, so we talked about 1000 North. We are in the midst of right-of-way purchases up there. I know at least 2 of you have gotten phone calls. There's a lot of questions. Our buyers are working pretty hard to answer all the questions. We're buying, I think we're having to purchase like 27 parcels of right-of-way. A lot of the houses are close enough to the road that we're having to pay quite a bit of money in setback damages, which is a formula that the appraisers use that I don't always fully understand. We're asking a lot of questions. In a couple cases, we've got those amounts reduced, but the reality is they're there. So a lot of setback damages, a lot of cost of cures where we have to pay people for fences we take out, trees, and things like that. So it's going to be a costly project just in the right-of-way phase. There's been a lot of questions, and our buyers do a pretty good job of informing people and explaining the projects to them. I know there's been inquiries about a public meeting. Back during the environmental phase, and I don't remember the actual dates of this, I don't know if Dave remembers them or not, but we spent a couple years basically going through an environmental assessment phase as required for any state or federal project. And as part of that, all the property owners received notice in one form or another, all the affected parties, that this is coming up, and are given the opportunity to request a hearing or request meetings. We either did not get any or didn't get enough to warrant a public hearing at that time, so we didn't hold one. So now that people are being approached to purchase right away, there's a renewed interest, and some of them are thinking, well, maybe we ought to have a public meeting. I typically try to avoid those, not because, I think obviously they need to know everything they can about it, especially if they're having to give up some right away, having to sell some right away. But I've asked our buyers to try to do everything they can to explain and answer the questions in the field without having to do a public meeting. So that's kind of the position I've taken. If you want to do something different, if you want to have a public meeting to answer some questions, we can do that.
Mr. President, if I might. Sure. I first thought public meeting might be, but I, excuse me, I agree with you, John. I think it functions better if they meet, not Dave Hinkle and I've talked. If there's some way you can, I even referred back to, what was that, 12 years ago?
2012, yeah.
When the video that they used when we selected Lockmuller, to me, was really effective. If you had a way to show, to go to each homeowner and show, this is how it will look, because I think seeing engineered renderings doesn't help those people a lot.
Sometimes you can visualize, sometimes
they really need to visualize, this is where my driveway will end now, and this is where it'll be in proximity to my house. And then you'll have setback, which I've tried to tell them, there won't be a road in that area.
Right.
But it worries them. And somehow we need to assuage their concerns so that they know this is how it will look in the end. If there's some way that you guys as engineers can do that on an individual basis, I think that would really help them.
Right, and they meet with them individually, and I know that,
Yes.
that Lockmuller came up with some improved drawings this week that might help demonstrate that a little better. But it's typically easier to relay that information to them when you're sitting down with them individually
Absolutely.
than in a meeting with stuff along the walls and everybody's asking questions that may or may not be
Emotion
relevant.
gets in there.
And they're not, each individual property owner may not be getting the attention they need or
Right.
want on their particular situation. So I
Right.
really think it's more effective to do it
I
one-on-one.
agree. I agree.
So I just want to let you know our position on that and where we are.
So, John, you will pursue that then with?
Yeah, we try to stake it in advance so they can go out and physically see the stakes where the edge of the right of way is going to be. That doesn't, like you said, that's not, sometimes that doesn't explain that the road's actually going to be back over here.
Right.
But I know there's we've gone through 2 or 3 versions of improving the exhibits and the drawings and things so they can see it.
Exhibits.
So, and Lockmuller is working pretty well with the buyers. Beam or EGIS now is doing our buying, and those guys are pretty good. They know how to explain stuff. So.
Okay. Very good.
Item 6 is just kind of for your information. Item 7, at a recent meeting, we talked about the cost of advanced clearing activities on some of these bridges, and the larger ones I'm going to bring to you. I've got another one today. This is for Bridge 193, which is down on County Line Road, not County Line Road, Greencastle Road, which is 1000 South, just east of 39. As you're going around those nasty curves, go to Mooresville. There's a bridge there we're replacing. They need to do some clearing there for utility relocation, but it's a nasty curve, so they're going to have traffic control. Artistic Touch does a lot of our clearing. They're the ones you approved last time. This project's gonna cost $28,750. I guess I just kind of want your consensus that it's okay to go ahead with that.
Fine with me.
Okay.
Consensus, okay? All right, we're okay.
I do have a title sheet here for Bridge 189, which is on County Road 100 West over Mud Creek down south. I need you to sign that before you leave here today, please.
Is that on the Stout Richardson ditch?
It says Mud Creek. I don't think that's the same as Stout Richardson.
What are we gonna do there?
Replace them.
Replace the bridge? I'll get phone call from that one. And so will you.
I know from who, yes.
Yeah.
We try to coordinate it to get the maximum phone calls for you. Item 9 is just kind of an update on the Parkway Bridge. Item 10 is just kind of an update unless you want to talk about that. So everybody know what I'm talking about with that road down there at the far southwest corner of the county?
And I think that's really good.
Yeah.
Will we be taking action as
Well,
commissioners like Putnam did? Or?
See, the actual road, the segment's being closed is in Putnam County.
Yeah.
And it's the red,
Right.
because the road dips to the south.
Right.
And
So
they're
they
both-
actually have to take the action to close their road. Now, somebody's going to have to build a cul-de-sac in there. Whether it's us or them, I don't know yet.
Okay.
And we're working with NDOT, and I'll talk some more to Putnam County about how to do it. The logical place to put the cul-de-sac is kind of at that east end of this co-op building, but that's in the Putnam County section. And I don't know what their financial situation is to build a turn. But I think that's a good move, safety-wise, to close that intersection. That's pretty ugly. We're in the process of analyzing that traffic, though, those counts there, and talking to NDOT, if that's gonna drive any changes at 75 and 40, if they're gonna need to signalize that now. They may not, but that's kind of for them to determine. But there's a lot of traffic that uses that cut through.
Easy, right?
A lot of traffic. So
Another 1,000 times.
we're taking counts there right now, actually. So.
John, let me stop you right there. I'll make a comment on your number 11.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
The three of us need to and will agree that if we get involved in conversations, et cetera, with contractors, so on, that we are working with, we need to not make any commitments that we can't do, and we will communicate with you that we have been in touch or they've been in touch with us, so that we don't interfere with what you're doing.
Right, and
yeah.
And I mean, clearly, you guys are the boss. You can talk to whoever you want to. I'm not. But if you talk to consultants or contractors on our project, I at least would like to be aware of it, just so I can monitor everything that's going on, and we can keep track of that, so that we know what they're being asked to do if it didn't come through us. And we can kind of monitor that. And then also, sometimes we can give a perspective on stuff if you have questions that may be different than the consultants. I may be able to give you a perspective more from our side than strictly the consultant. And that's not taking anything away from Consultant Row, but they're looking at it from a different perspective.
Right.
So I just like to be kept in the loop on that, on our projects.
Fine.
So when you do talk to them, at least let me know.
Very
So
good.
I don't get surprised by a consultant coming to me saying, hey, commissioners asked me to change this and change that.
Yeah.
Speaking, can
I
I,
get surprised.
Sure.
John, you're probably gonna be asked, and I've been asked, and he hasn't contacted me yet. Putnam County wants to come to us and ask if we can help them in any way on that bridge there west of McLeod Park.
That Trust Bridge?
We helped it, it's such a huge amount of money.
It is.
I don't know.
It's a really cool bridge, but it's closed, right?
Well, and
Still.
it needs to be replaced.
Yeah.
And I don't
That's-
know, if you come up with some,
I don't remember what the cost estimate was to do something with that a few years ago, but it was staggering.
it's huge.
And because the cost of replacement alone there is gonna be high, just because it's a really deep
Yes.
channel. It's gonna be a long bridge. It's just the cost of replacement alone, even if you weren't dealing with the historical aspect of that existing truss, it's gonna be a very expensive project. They had at one time that as a federal aid project, I thought, and I don't know why it went away.
And maybe,
Maybe their
John-
share was just more than they could afford.
maybe you can answer this question. One of the engineers that talked to me said that there are 2 levels of historic preservation on those bridges. Does
Select
this
and
one-
non-select.
Does this one reach the highest level?
I would guess it does.
That means someone has to dismantle it and
Yes.
preserve it.
In most cases, yeah. Now, that's gonna be an expensive, and just as a reminder, that's our West County Line road, so that's their responsibility.
road.
We're not obligated to help with that. If we choose to, we can, but we're not obligated to help with that. And we've helped out Putnam County on some other road things. It's gonna be expensive.
Way over.
Have they defined what they wanna do yet? Have they thought about what?
He hasn't, the one commissioner who was gonna call me has not called me yet. No, it was not.
Andy back.
Yeah, Andy, yes.
Maybe they could put in writing something to us to outline what they're looking at.
Do they have somebody working on that now? Does anybody know?
Not that I know of.
As the Putnam County representative in the room, do you know?
I do not know. I just know that Andy's supposed to be reaching out to Bob, and I know he hasn't done that yet, so I will get back with Andy.
Oh, I just need to put Andy in touch with John, because
It would help to know what the plan's gonna be first before.
Yeah, I don't know. They haven't said, what they want to do with it yet.
Wyeth Farms is gonna contribute?
Yeah, Little Rock. Andy did contact me, and then I referred him to talk to Bob. But I know that there's some thoughts there, what they want to do. It's a shame that they can't go to one side or the other and build a new bridge and leave that, sort of maybe some way to incorporate it as a walking path or something, I don't know.
They can, but it adds to the cost.
That's a deep gulch right
It
through
is.
there, and I know some farmers would love to be able to take trucks across there, but there is no way that I would take a truck across that thing at all, until there's something new and reinforced in concrete.
Maybe a toy truck.
Yeah.
It'd be your last drive.
Yeah. All right.
Andy's dad used to be highway superintendent and commissioner.
Oh, really?
Gene? Yep.
I think Putnam County's got their hands full with enough bridge problems the way it
They
is.
do.
Yeah. Anything else, John?
I don't have anything else unless you have something for me.
The three of us are gonna try to arrange a time soon to meet with you, talk about something else, but not for public discussion at this point. And you're okay, you're fine.
Okay. I'll bring some boxes tomorrow.
Todd, you gave us a really short sentence report, and we're glad you had a nice vacation.
Thank you. I have nothing to add.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Welcome back. Mr. Morris.
Brief. I sent you that initial email early, like last week concerning AI, the topic of discussion right now. Just real quick, we went through some logs a few weeks back and realized there was a little bit more usage on AI. AI, in this context, we're talking artificial intelligence, but they're chatbots. Basically, the biggest, most well-known was ChatGPT. Great tool, pretty cool. Put some stuff in, you put in a sentence, it'll rewrite it 5 different ways. Amazing. I've used it myself for some few things. However, there's a lot of unknowns wrapped around AI. Main thing is anything you put in it, you don't know what's going to be done with that data. The whole design of it is it keeps that
AI,
data.
that's the data that makes it stronger every day.
Exactly. Yep. And if you put in personal social security numbers, it's going to put it there. And someday down the road, someone asks for a social security number, it may churn out your social security number. You just don't know what will happen with it. Then there's a couple other, right off the top of the head, it can generate, the data it generates can be biased. I mean, it may, you ask it a question in California, it may give you a whole different answer than it will in Indiana. Vice versa, it's dependent upon areas of the country. I don't know race or anything, but it can be biased data. And then the ChatGPT part of it, we're not as concerned with. There's not a lot of pitfalls as far as security. Some of the other are a little less secure. Anyway, we kind of put a little bit of a block just to kind of see what reaction we get. We got half a dozen users that were a little irritated at us that we stopped it. And so what I'm bringing to you now is we're kind of, I'm not really sure what to do. A lot of agencies, federal down to local government, has created policies surrounding it. Most of it is really just to make users aware. Now, there are ways that you can create basically your own ChatGPT within your environment. Very costly. Yeah. Microsoft has one. Matter of fact, we bought a few licenses just to pilot, just to kind of see. Great. It encapsulates the data so you don't lose it. It's expensive, about $375 a person per year. So I can add up very quickly. So anyway, at a minimum, what I think until we get our arms more around it and figure out a policy, kind of get a little bit more lead or guidance from the state and federal, that as long as users understand what they're doing, I think that's our biggest problem, is maybe some users may not understand the significance of what happens to us. Our training platform that we send out, other stuff, the phishing training platform, has a couple of modules based around AI. Basically, you take a 5-minute little training, it kind of makes you aware, helps you understand what you're doing with it, and then kind of gives you guidance on what to do moving forward. My assistant, John Gramling, created a kind of a training platform where we can send that out. We'd have a user request access to it. We send that out, they do the training, it kind of gives us, they check the box. We can add them to a security group, which opens up that access to that thing. Again, we're not worried that there's a security risk, we're just users understanding what's going on. So that's kind of why it's a great tool, as long as you understand what you're doing with it. So it's not a matter we think we should block it permanently. It's just until we get something a little bit more substantive, we can at least open up access to it as long as users take a training. So that's kind of what I'm recommending right now. It's just we can set up that training program, kind of send it out to the user base. They request access to it. We let them run the training and then open it up for them.
I think it's an incredibly powerful tool that we should enable our employees to have access
And like I
with
said,
some
maybe
oversight.
down the road, it makes sense for us to, depending on the feedback we get, maybe we do look
It's
at.
moving
Yeah.
so fast, so it's.
I'm in IT
pretty
and
amazing.
it's mind blowing. I mean, the federal government they're struggling to keep up with it. States definitely. I know I've talked to half a dozen counties and there's a variety of different postures that they have right now. Some embrace it, some are afraid of it and just block it completely.
So when you refer to user base,
That's our
the
users, our county
employees,
employees,
county
correct.
employees.
Yeah.
Does that include highway truck drivers?
Sure, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And again, this only affect, all we can do is what county equipment, county computers. I mean, we can't prevent, if someone decides, I don't want to deal with that, and they just take whatever they want, send it to a personal email, go on their personal phone, do it, and then send it right back, we can't control that.
Sure.
And it's just mostly what we're trying to do now is just make people aware. Understand that, it's just not a black hole somewhere. That data does go somewhere.
Never goes
And
away.
you pray that, we have no indication, but I mean, you
There's a
don't
reason
want
we're
someone
having data
dropping.
storage is built around here, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dropping just anything in there. So anyway, that's
So I think we're in agreement.
a consensus, okay. We'll move forward with that, kind of.
Maybe look at a policy
Yeah.
recommendation down the road.
Yeah.
After you get some more experience.
Sounds great. We'll move forward with that.
All right.
The other two items are just real quick. Fiber, I've finally gotten our fiber map, our inventory re-upped with Northern Lights, which does our locations from the demolition of the jail, as well as the run that we went to Cypress Manor. That's all kind of redrawn in their maps, so they have that. And that was really spearheaded by a project the town of Danville's. They're gonna run a pedestrian path up Main and up East Main back past the hospital. So they've been asking for utility locations for a while, and we finally got that all arranged. And then the last thing is I'm piloting a couple of help desk packages, software packages for my department. Facilities uses something similar. If someone has a problem with something, they go on, create a ticket, and we work off of that. With how we're moving forward with performance monitoring, that's probably my best way of doing that with my staff is just, how many tickets you close, or what resolutions you have. So we're just doing that. It'll probably be a little hard to get users to use that moving forward, just because they've been so used to just sending us an email and stuff. But we'll work on getting our user base to work on that.
Very good.
That's all I have, unless you have anything.
Anything? Thanks.
All right,
Thanks, Doug.
thank you.
Mr. Swally?
You have my staff report. If you get any questions, we're more happy to answer any questions. I do have some comments on the storage building that we're trying to challenge with, but the amount of emergency animal enclosures we have, I don't see any reason to store them in any type of facility that want to get one of those shipping containers. They make them with the side doors open so you can access things. I have a place to park those. It won't really, it's at the coroner's office. It won't change my lease or anything, so really like to get those items put in there. They're only for emergency use. They're not a daily thing at all, so they take up a lot of room and are very unorganized. So that's sort of my plan, because I want to be prepared to have that building gone at a later date, and that's one of my biggest goals. I have had a great discussion with the fairgrounds staff and moving forward with some concepts there. I think it's beneficial for everybody. It's a good place for us to put our voting machines, and I'm working through that. I'll be presenting something to you later, but I really think that relationship is beneficial.
Mr. President, because Dave and I are on the fair, we had our fair operations meeting last night, and I think your idea is great. But Dave and I have some concerns about the voting machines, security.
Yes.
And we're kind of wondering, don't those machines, I need to hear from whoever the manufacturer say that, so they don't have to be in climate control.
So most likely with the discussion I've had with the voting personnel is it will be a climate control to a minimum. I'm working on that currently. I don't have all that done yet, but I would provide most likely climate control to a minimum of 50 degrees or something. They don't have natural gas in that area, so it's LP gas. It's a little challenging. I'm reaching out to the gas company to see why we can't get something over there, because there's multiple buildings that could use gas. So I don't have all those answered yet, but I am working on, I've got a couple bids on.
For my information, could you find out from the voting machine manufacturer
Yes.
if they, because the last thing we want is to find out 2 weeks before the election begins that the voting machines won't work because they haven't been stored properly.
If the voting machines are going to there, I'm gonna make sure the facility will accept any of their needs, and that'll be part of our, but
Thank you.
working wise, it's a great location, it's a great partnership, and it's really a good move for all of us for in the future.
I like your idea.
Yeah, good.
Any other questions?
Anything?
Thank you.
Thanks. And Attorney Gerwold?
I have nothing.
Anything? Commissioners, any of us have anything? Okay, I do not. I'll accept the motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you.